Hey everyone, Dan Ludeman here with Ludeman Productions. I wanted to come on camera for the first time today because I get a ton of questions on my YouTube in regards to what kind of gear I use, what kind of cameras do I use, what kind of lenses do I use. Well, today I kind of wanted to dive into a project I recently shot called Ichor. So first things first, the camera that I used for this project was the Sony FS5 with the RAW update. I also used an Atomos Shogun Inferno in conjunction with this camera. This is actually my A camera, my main camera I've been using now for about a solid year and a half. Now, yes, I also use a Panasonic GH5, which you guys have also had a lot of questions about, and I'll be touching on that camera on another review. So let me talk about the Atomos Shogun Inferno for a little bit. This is a really awesome recorder. It allows you to shoot 240 frames continuous out of the FS5, as well as 120p in 4K burst mode. I believe that's 4-second burst. It also, of course, shoots 4K at 60p, and it also records RAW. Another reason why I love this monitor is because the display is so bright. Now, I actually used to use the Odyssey 7Q, and I switched over to the Atomos almost primarily because of how bright the screen is. I shoot a lot of weddings, a ton of weddings. That's about 70% of my work right now. And that high brightness display comes in extremely handy for me when I'm doing outdoor shoots, and I need to be able to see if my picture's in focus, if I have the proper exposure, and the Atomos is absolutely wonderful for that. I'm not going to dive in too much on the other features of the Atomos Shogun Inferno. A lot of people have done really awesome reviews, in-depth reviews on using that with your FS5, so I'll link those down in the description below so you guys can go check those out. Another important thing to bring up is batteries. Now, I actually use SWIT batteries, and they're great. They power the FS5 and the Atomos Shogun Inferno via D-tap cable. So next up is lighting. We used an Aperture 120D primarily for this shoot. We shot that through the Aperture light dome and then through additional diffusion. Let me just say, Aperture makes some incredible lights. If you haven't seen them yet, you should go check them out. Awesome company, awesome lights. As far as lenses go, we used a Canon 50mm, and then we also used a Canon 100mm macro. We shot about 90% of this video handheld. For the other 10%, we shot on a Kessler second shooter. We used that mostly for a few of the opening shots, but then we actually found out we were just getting better results handheld. That's mostly just because the Kessler second shooter just couldn't move quite fast enough to accommodate for those cool parallaxing slow motion movements. So as far as the actual props, all we used was a big fish aquarium, pretty straightforward. We filled it up with water a few times for the opening sequence, and we did that about 4 or 5 times over and over again. Next up, we moved on to some cooking oil. We poured that in and we kind of swirled it around the water with a knife. Created these really cool globular textures. Later, we mixed in some food dye, and that created some really cool colorful bubbles. And that's honestly about it. It took about 4 or 5 hours to shoot. We were kind of in a time crunch for this project, but it was a really good challenge, just kind of taking an evening, putting our minds together, and filming this. It was a lot of fun. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Hopefully that kind of gave you some insight as to how I use my Sony FS5 in conjunction with the Atomos Shogun Inferno. The next video I'll be doing is actually on the GH5 because I know you guys have had a ton of questions about that. But yeah, like I said, this is the first time I've come on camera. So let me know if you liked it. Let me know if you hated it. If you did like it, maybe toss me a sub, and I will check you guys later. Take care.